Thanks for joining us for another episode of Mid-American Gardener. I'm your host, Tanisha Spain, and we are back in the studio today with a familiar face I'm sure you will recognize. Kelly also joins us today. It's been a while since we've seen you, so welcome back.
Yes, thank you for having me.
These are crazy times. It's been a while since we've seen almost anyone. But
I know.
So glad to have you back. If you could, since it's been a while, introduce yourselves and tell the folks a little bit about you.
I am Kelly Alsop. I am a horticulturist. I went to the University of Illinois and got both of my degrees. And then I am really passionate about insects and pollinators and beneficial insects. But, you know, being a horticulturist, I'm passionate about a lot. Like, it's so hard for me to just limit my horticulture knowledge. Further, like when Diane Nolan was here, I answered a lot of questions about my greenhouse background. And so,
yes, you are kind of a generalist in that sense.
I think we all are. We love trees, we love vegetables, we love beneficial insects and pollinators, and we love house plants, and we want plants everywhere, right?
Yes, we do. Well, I'm not a horticulturalist, but I want plants everywhere.
I mean, I think you're a horticulturist. You know, a horticulturist is somebody who grows plants. Do you grow plants?
Lots of them.
Then I think you're a horticulturist.
Did you just knight me?
I
feel knighted right now.
I mean, I think we all should be horticulturists in a way. You know, this whole concept of I'm not good at growing plants and I don't have a green thumb, I think, you know, needs to go away.
I agree.
Because it's, you know, plants can be challenging. I always say it's like cooking. Like, if you cook lasagna the first time and you mess it up, are you going to stop cooking lasagna?
No, because lasagna is delicious.
Because eventually you're going to get it good, right? So if I kill a plant, which we've all killed plants, right? Tanisha, have you killed plants before?
Lots of them.
Then, you know, it's part of the cycle of learning how to nurture plants and grow them. And
I always think about you around the holidays because everyone wants to hold on to their poinsettias. And every time I think of Kelly, I'm like, I know I should pitch this, but I just can't. So, anywho. Okay.
I'm not that. I will pitch the poinsettia in a minute.
The day after Christmas.
Yes, the day after. Yes, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, you've been growing you've been growing lots of things, but this year you've been focusing on lots of flowers, and some of them you can eat.
Yes, I've been dabbling with growing edible flowers and, you know, how they can be used and what they taste like. And so we're going to have a tasting test here. What we're going to start with is these are Gladiolas. These are, you know, I started them in a raised bed as bulbs in May, and they're blooming profusely right now. Well, look at how beautiful that flower is. Well, you can eat this flower, and I would think like jellies and desserts, this flower would be perfect. But we're just going to eat a little part because yes, flowers do have a little bit of a consistency thing, and they really need to be like mixed with other stuff. It's not like you're going to just go,
just bite right into it.
You know, kind of like herbs, like they're a little bit potent, just eating them on their own, you kind of mix them. So this one has a little bit of a sweet taste. So I'm just going to pull off a petal, which I think you could use the petals too. And you can go ahead and pull off a petal of this. Ooh, okay. And you're just going to take a little tiny pinch.
Okay.
A little tiny pinch, not too much.
And just go for it?
And just go for it.
They always have me, you know, oh my gosh.
I actually think it has a sweet.
It does.
Kind of.
Run outside and taste your glads.
Gardeny taste. It has like a sweet vegetable taste to me.
I do taste the sweet, though, for sure.
I was rather surprised with how awesome glads are, how sweet they were.
Wow. So when you eat these or cook with these, how do you do it? Do you put them in something, or do you just mix them into a stir fry?
I mean, I think they're really for dessert people, like cakes and cupcakes and cookies. And then sometimes you can add them into, like, salads. Like, if you, like, for instance, we're going to eat this next one. This one is called borage. Another herb, which it's a kind of an old-fashioned herb. And let me tell you, the bees love this flower. And it's supposed to taste like cucumber, and I agree.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and let
Do we eat the petal or the leaf?
The petal.
The petal. And this is borage, blue borage.
And it has this really, like, intense blue flower. Imagine how that would...
I don't really taste anything.
I get the effervescence of the
there
cucumber.
It is. There it is. It does taste like cucumber. Wow. I've seen people freeze these into ice cubes for like summer parties.
Oh, yeah.
To, add a little garnish to the drinks.
My friend who I've been working on this project with, she's been doing freezing with the flowers too. And I thought that was a really cool idea.
It took a second for this one, but it does taste like cucumber.
And then we have a calendula called pot marigold, another old flower. Maybe all the older type, heirloom type of flowers are really, and could be considered an herb too. And I think this one has a little bit of a sweet taste too.
Calendula.
Calendula.
Okay. Let me taste this one.
And
let's see.
Might have to clean your palate. I'm tasting it, but I'm tasting a little bit of the
I taste it.
borage.
Now, did you grow these individually, or is this like a mix? Do you have I'm picturing like a beautiful like English garden where everything is just wild and random?
I have a friend that is just growing them wild, and they're just going crazy. And the more she harvests them, the more produce. I'm not that way. I'm a greenhouse girl. So I started them all by seeds and spaced them out appropriately.
Yes, you did.
And I harvest my flowers often. What I've noticed is with the calendula, it doesn't stay a long time, because what I do is I go out in the morning, I pop the flowers off, I put them in water and let them soak, and then I put them in the refrigerator. And that's what keeps them going.
Now, how long can you keep them in the fridge?
Well, I've only been experimenting this summer, and what I've found is that the calendula is the only one that I can't get to keep. Like, I can keep it like a couple of days, but the rest I can keep it for a week.
Okay.
Okay, let's try our next one.
Okay.
This is Johnny Jump Ups violas. You've grown these before. They're a cool season annual.
Yes.
I've started these from seeds too. I don't taste sweet. I just taste
Not with this one.
kind of
Earthy.
green.
This one's more of an earthy sort of, something's there, but
which is a shame, because it's the prettiest one.
It is pretty, but yes.
But it could go on a
taste
cookie.
much. Yes.
And then we have a little bit more potent of flowers.
Oh, you saved the potent guys for last.
Now, this is called, it's anise, but it's not the anise hyssop native plant that many gardeners grow in their Illinois gardens. It is Pimpinella is the genus, and it's an anise herb, and it has these beautiful white flowers. And if you pinch off the flowers...
Is anise the one that tastes like licorice? Okay. So we're going for the flowers on this one. Little dainty guys, too. It's a really pretty little flower. Okay, here we go. I would put that in a salad.
Oh, yeah.
A pasta salad.
I would put that on cookies, too. I think it would just go delicious. It tastes like fennel to me.
It's really good.
You know, when you add fennel to that, and it's a beautiful little dainty. The only reason I don't like it is because it's little tiny flowers.
Yes.
But it is rather tasty. Then, sometimes how as gardeners we always tell you, pinch your basil, don't let it flower. You can eat the flowers. And they're dainty, but really quite beautiful. And so, of course, they are going to taste like basil.
I was going to ask if basil flowers taste like basil. And I love basil. Can't go wrong with a good pesto.
So when you're out there pinching all your flowers off, you could, use it as a additional harvest.
Yum.
So very cool. And then the last one you get to do on your own.
Okay.
I am not really a spicy person.
Oh boy.
And in fact, it hurts my stomach sometimes. But this one is called nasturtium.
Nasturtium.
Grow by seed. Another great herb to grow. Easy. Come on. These are easy to grow. And it is really spicy.
Is it going to melt my face off? Because I'm not a spicy girl either.
It's not going to melt your face out. I'll do it just to show you. But let's just get a small piece.
Like, am I going to start sweating?
Like, this is the one I think would be awesome in a salad.
Okay. What's the name of this one again?
Nasturtium.
Nasturtium. I almost said nostalgia.
Are you tasting it?
No.
That spicy at the end?
Mm-mm.
Take a bigger bite.
I feel like this is a setup.
Woo! Feels spicy to me.
I'm getting nothing.
What are you tasting?
All right.
You're not tasting spicy.
I'm not tasting spicy. And
Okay.
I'm very sensitive to spice. Like hot salsa, not for me. Oh, well.
But, hey, okay, so first one we agree on, first one we disagree on, sometimes people taste differently.
Yeah.
But I think that one would go the little spicy on the salad. Beautiful.
Yum. I'm so glad we did this.
Yes, I am
So if
too.
you've got any of these at home, head outside and get to harvesting some of these and make dainty little cookies or freeze them in ice cubes for guests. Very nice.
Of course, I've not used pesticides because I'm eating all of this. And, soaking them in the water washes it. You could go a step further and add a little touch of bleach just to get rid of, any other types of things. But
very cool. Very cool. Now, while we're talking about pollinators and flower pockets and things, we had a question come in, folks asking about red bugs that are about the size of a lightning bug on their milkweed. What do you think that is, and can you control it?
Well, there's two red bugs there's many bugs that feed on milkweed because of that milky sap. It makes them unpalatable to birds. Right? Their nemesis, right? What's going to try to eat them. But these are milkweed bugs and then milkweed beetles.
Gotcha.
Milkweed bugs are flat. They're in the Hemiptera family. I'm sorry, I'll stop. And that means they're half wing. That means half of their wing is hard and the other half is soft. Then there's beetles, milkweed beetles. They're red with black, same color, and they're called hardwing. Their entire wing is hard, and they're hard to, if you stepped on them, it'd go crack.
Crunch.
Yeah, crunch. But so they feed in these massive drones of them, and then they all meet up together and they're all in the same spot. But what is the problem is you don't want to spray or kill these because you may have monarchs on that plant. And a lot of people who grow milkweed complain about the yellow bugs, the yellow oleander aphids that get on milkweed in the summer. And it's just something we just have to take. Right? Because we're not going to go over there and spray chemicals and potentially kill our good bugs. We're just going to have to handle it a little bit. One of the things that I do is if it's really, really, really bad, cut the plant back and let the new growth come up. And, there's still a little bit of, there's still pollinators right now and allow the monarch caterpillars to feed on that new growth, which they'll like.
They will. They will. We've got monarchs, as you guys know, we raise them at our house, and the aphids, I just rinse them off the leaves. I mean, they are
That's
annoying.
what I do.
But yeah, when we take a little leaf in for feeding, I just rinse them off. And some of the other bugs or insects that I see out there, they don't seem to be doing any damage to the plant. Do they feed on the plants? Do they
Who?
chew on the leaves? The red bugs.
Yes.
They
Oh
do.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're putting their stylet into the plant, and they're eating the plant.
Really? I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed a little bit of leaf curl on some of them. I wonder if that's a byproduct of the insects feeding on the leaves.
Because sometimes the reason they all like to be in the same spot is because they've released an enzyme from their mouth that breaks down the milkweed. And so why would you go somewhere where it's hard or somewhere where it's already been broken down? And so they all slurp from the same area.
Slurp from the same area. I like that.
So they're weakening the plant, definitely, but milkweed is pretty tough.
Yeah, and everybody's got to survive out there, right?
And that's kind of what, integrated pest management and, worrying about wildlife and pollinators, that's kind of what you have to do, is sometimes you just have to take it.
You just have to take it.
You just
Okay.
have to take a little bit of damage. For instance, I have these 4 raised beds that I've been growing in, and who is my nemesis? The rabbits.
Yes.
The rabbits like my seeds, my new germinating seedlings. They like to get in there and but as far as I'm concerned, if the seedlings can't take the rabbits, then fine. I'm just going to keep going. And
Survival of
I'm
the
not going to do
fittest.
anything about the rabbit because that's part of my gardening.
And we've also had folks write in about squash bugs and blister beetles in the garden. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the squash bugs, they really attack everything in the that family, the cucurbit family, your cucumbers, your squash, your pumpkins. Usually you really have to get that population early, meaning you're turning over those leaves and you're looking for those cluster of yellow eggs. And then you take that leaf off and you throw it away and get it out of the garden. So that's the really organic way to control squash bugs. Otherwise, you do have to get chemicals. And at this part, I think it's difficult to control them when they get to the adult phase. They're just harder to kill. I know I say this all the time, is sometimes rotating off crops is a great way to prevent insects that you've had in the past. For instance, you've had squash bugs in your garden this year. Next year, you're going to take a break and you're going to grow something different. A tomato, a radish, something that's not going to be attacked by squash bugs. And that can, prevent future outbreaks. But there are lots of products out there for squash bugs. People hate them.
The bane of the gardening existence, but checking the undersides of those leaves in like May, June, early
Even
July?
now, you
Okay,
could
even
still.
now?
I mean, it's usually right when you start seeing the leaves. A lot of people start them by seeds. You start seeing those leaves come out. You start checking underneath the leaves, and if you see any clusters of yellow eggs, just get rid of that leaf because squash has a lot of leaves. They don't need all of them. And that's the real organic way because it's hard to use an organic type of chemical to kill those adult ones. But when they're nymphs, they're a little bit easier. And then when they're eggs, they're easy to spot.
Even easier. Okay, noted. All right, so you brought some succulents in.
I did.
Let's talk about those. You've been very busy.
I know. I've been growing a lot of succulents lately. It's been fun. I've been growing some of them from small plants, little transplants, put them in these mixed bowls. And then some of them I've actually done cuttings of. And so right here are 2 of them. I love succulents. I read an article that said that succulents are out.
And I'm sure you were offended.
I was.
I bet.
Do you know how much work I put into this? This is so easy to grow, you guys.
Yes.
It's amazingly easy to grow.
Now, how long have those 2 arrangements been put together? Or in the pot, I should say.
8 weeks.
Really? They look really cozy and moved in. What do you
Right.
have in
And I
there?
started with little plants like this.
Oh, wow.
And I'm really good with my watering. I let them dry down. But, I'm growing them outside, so I can't always control the watering because it's been the rain. We've had lots of rain here in central Illinois at different times, right?
Yes.
And these guys are just like, yeah, we'll take it.
Wow. Okay, so spin that around. Tell us some of the plants that are in there.
So this is a little, these are called Portulacaria, called elephant food is one of the things. This is a little Senecio. This is a Crassula. Again, I'm sorry, I'm a horticulturist. I'm using scientific names because that's what we do, and you guys would find it too. This is another Senecio that's kind of related to this plant. Here we have a jade, another Crassula. Here's another Crassula right here. Here's an Echeveria. And we actually have plants for you. Here's a little tiny Echeveria for her. Now this is all I did was I took a piece. Let's say I wanted to take a succulent cutting here, and I wanted to make a nice little thing for my friend. What I did is I just put a hole in the bottom of these cups because I'm cheap.
Practical.
Practical.
A practical gardener.
Because I couldn't buy cute little, I wanted to make cuttings, but I couldn't buy all these cute little stuff. And so what I do is I just pinch it off right here. Should have brought a pair of scissors. And then I just take the bottom couple of leaves off. I want at least a node below. So I have to have at least one node. That's where the roots are going to come from. And I do like this.
Let it dry out.
And I let it dry out for like 2 or 3 days. And then I go and stick it. Now when you go and stick it, it hasn't grown roots yet, right? So you need to give it a little bit more water. But once it has roots, you can back off of the water.
Got it.
But until it has roots, it's a little susceptible to drying out too much. That's why I like taking off a lot of petals.
I did not know that they need a little bit more water to get started.
Just a tiny bit more.
Good to know.
I mean, you don't want them to rot, but you don't want it to dry out completely.
Gotcha.
Now, these just got rain. Otherwise, I would have dried them out. But, you know. See, Tanisha could be like, okay, I want all that too, Kelly.
And I'm watching
and she could.
I'm just like, I could do so much
she could get her little cups and she could start this. But this one's a little Crassula. I love the green, the white, and the pink tinge.
That is pretty. That is really pretty.
This is a Echeveria. Well, no, it's a sedum, and it's that orangey fire color. And this is an Echeveria. And those are going to get huge. Those two. This one's not going to get quite as huge because this one's kind of like this.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. So if I were to do an arrangement, I would put that guy in the front. But these are going to get tall.
But I've just been going crazy.
I love that.
With them, like, I'll put this one in the middle, and I wouldn't have thought to put it in the middle, technically, and it'll look really good in the middle. This one's called Campside Crassula, and it actually gets a little bit darker in the shade. I've been growing these in full sun.
I was just going to ask if they were outside in full sun.
Full sun.
So these have been outside in full sun as well? They're prepared for...
Full sun.
Okay.
And you can put them directly in full sun, or you could pot them up a little bit. Personally, don't pot them up too much. If you want to do something like this, then maybe, add in a couple of your other succulents.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then make your little garden. But otherwise, I might keep them in those all winter long.
Okay. No,
and
that's
then
fine with me.
Pot them up next year when you take them out and they have this big, wonderful summer to go.
So they can stay
still
in
have
this.
time.
They can stay in this until next year?
Yes, they can.
Okay. Then I'm going to do that. I've had really good success with just leaving things alone. Because, we get home and you want to put it in a pretty pot and you want to incorporate it into the whole
That is the worst thing that you can do.
But I've gotten
really greenhouse grower, as a greenhouse grower, I just spent 12 weeks getting those roots to perfection for you. And the first thing you do is
yank it out.
And I wish people would just accept the pot. If you want it, put it in a pretty pot. Just pop it into the pot. Take it to your sink and water it. But if you want to put it in a pretty pot,
I've learned that.
It's
String of pearls.
Yeah.
That was clutch for me because the first time I bought one, I immediately repotted it. It died. The one that I have now, it's been in the nursery pot for a year and it is thriving. I just took it and popped it right into another pot.
And now it would be okay, but it doesn't need to go into, what size pot is it?
The
Do you know?
small, oh gosh, I'm
So
bad
like a
at that.
4 or a
Yes,
6?
Yes.
So
a 4 actually.
You're going to go to a 6 or an 8. You're not going to put it in a 14-inch pot.
Yes.
You're going to gradually go up.
Yes.
Otherwise, if she put these in one of these right now, she'd have to be perfection on the water because otherwise she's going to drown them out.
Yes, and then we've got root rot, right?
And then your roots are gone. It's all about root growth. So people are like, when I'm working at greenhouses and people are like, oh, so I can split apart these 7 plants. And I'm like,
Please don't do that.
I'm like, you could, but why would you want to? When
right.
I, the expert, just grew these beautiful roots for you.
Just leave them alone.
Yeah, leave them alone for a little bit.
All right. Well, Kelly, we are out of time.
Oh, awesome.
It went fast, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it
All
did.
right. Thanks for coming in and sharing your time and talents. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Good night.